Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the new trailer that's come out recently for Season 2 of Doom Patrol. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. Obviously, just more craziness that you came to love from Season 1. It seems like we're getting even more of it in Season 2. They set up some very interesting things. Like, I love one of the things, it looks like Cliff is fighting a rat. I'm assuming, I can only assume, it's the same rat from last season, the one that got inside of Cliff's head that was working with Mr. Nobody, because it was getting revenge, because I think, I can't remember its name, but it's the one that, I think, it wasn't like, Captain Whiskers or something like that, was it? I don't remember. The fact of the matter is, it was the one that I think, didn't Cliff run over his mom or something like that, and this was his revenge. So I'm like, somehow Cliff is short. I mean, like, he's like been shrunk down like that, and now he's fighting a rat. I guess it's almost kind of like payback time almost. Obviously, we don't know the circumstances around it, but it seems like the big part of this season is going to be dealing with Dorothy. Like, I guess she's going to almost play the role of almost the villain of the season. Maybe not. It's like maybe her character can float on the cusp of being either one, but basically she's a child kind of out there in the world, and it's like the chief is like, we need to bring her back. Because we finally get an understanding of everything. Like, he's like, basically everything he's ever done has been because his daughter has basically immortality, so he wanted to find immortality so that he could outlive her, to make sure, to be there for her and everything, which explains a lot of stuff. Because I was like, the chief looks exactly the same now as he did way back in the day, so I was wondering about that. But now it's a situation I'm like, okay, so now it explains a lot, like, because obviously we knew a lot of this was tied to that, like everything that he's done and Doom Manor and stuff like that. But now it's like, it's a sweet gesture. It's like, oh, you want to be around to take care of your child and everything, but at the same time it's like, it's effed up because of like everything you've played a part of. Like, it just, I mean, and it made it clear in Season 1, because even Mr. Nobody was saying that stuff of like, everything that's related to you guys kind of falls on him, because he kind of manipulated you and, made you seem like, oh, he was doing this out of the kindness of his heart, when in actuality he didn't have the most, he had somewhat altruistic, reasons for doing what he did, but at the same time you were all just pawns for his game, essentially, so I'm curious to see kind of how that all kind of ends up. I mean, it seems like most of that baggage got dealt with in Season 1, but I'm sure there's still going to be leftover bits of it. Obviously, Vic is still dealing with, like, the trauma of just everything that went down, his memories of the, the explosion and everything, because like he had blocked out some memories, because at first he was like, did Mr. Nobody just mess with my head? But it's like, no, those were really my memories. So it seems like he's reliving a lot of that trauma, that PTSD, and he's kind of dealing with, because we even see him kind of going to a support group at one point in time, and I'm like, oh, is that supposed to be like a superhero support group, or is that just like a regular support group? Because we see some of those same characters later on at Doom Manor, so I'm curious about that. Rita, it seems like she's trying to be more, because Vic's like, whoa, are you trying to be a superhero? She's like, what? No. It's so interesting, because she was always the one that was the most reluctant about doing the whole hero thing, but a lot of times last season she stepped up, and I think now she's trying to step up even more of like, okay, we can do something more with our powers and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of interesting. I love the aspect of them like playing into the whole thing of Jane being more like, I want to it's saying more so that like this group of people, losers she's hanging around, she's like, they're actually my family, and yeah, they might be spineless, but I know at the end of the day they do care about me. And I'm like, oh, that's super sweet. Especially like Cliff, like, oh, bring it in, give me a hug, and she just kind of reluctantly letting him hug her. I think that's pretty dope. I will probably get access to other personalities next season, because I think of the ones they showed, there's only like one that they have shown I think is new. The others obviously were ones we met last season, but I'm curious to learn the many other personalities we only got glimpses at last season when we were inside of Jane's head. Obviously the whole Cliff thing, it looks like we're going to get more insight into either he's just being haunted by memories of the past, maybe they're just like nightmares, or whether they're actually straight up memories. I'm curious to see how, like, obviously, like, I'm sure like there's probably going to be more story between him and his daughter, which would be an interesting parallel considering the whole thing with Chief and his daughter, so I think that'd be kind of an interesting, element to kind of, play with. I'm really curious what they're going to do with Larry too, because we didn't get too much insight into the whole, like, but I mean, I think Larry kind of confronted a lot of his past last season, kind of confronted obviously a lot of his demons, but obviously like him kind of, being in a different position with, you know, him and the Spirit being on better terms and stuff like that. But just, I'm curious to see what direction his story ends up taking, because he did a lot of he had a lot of self-hate last season, but now it seems like, yeah, I think we'll be seeing a different side of Larry this season, so I'm curious to see kind of where his story ends up taking us. Like I said, I am very excited for season 2. Something to do, I've brought this up before, but if you are unaware, Doom Patrol Season 2 will be simultaneously premiering on both HBO Max and DC Universe, so do keep that in mind. Obviously, these are just some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What are some things you want to see this season? What are some things you expect to see in this season? Let me know. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good